Hey friends, it's Mari. Thank you so much for stopping by my channel today. I have a 12 by 12 scrapbooking layout for you today using the Wildflower and Honey collection from Vicky Boutin. I'm going to be scrapping these two photos. They are identical but different size. And I'm going to be using some of the packaging in my process today as well from the Wildflower and Honey collection. So you can see here, I'm going to be using this one piece. I'm going to fussy cut around parts of it, and you'll see how I use that as a corner embellishment on the layout. And I just love the packaging. Every single time with Vicky's collections, I keep the packaging just because I feel like there's a great way to repurpose these pieces. I love how the honeycomb is on this piece in that kind of distressed fashion. I think it's really cool, and I did not want to throw this out. So my idea was to use it, a piece of the packaging in two corners, and kind of create a diagonal eye line for the design today. So I'm just going to speed this up really quickly here. I'm just going to cut this out. I'm not going to show you all of this obviously because it's just fussy cutting. But yeah, I highly recommend you save the packaging. So I was just kind of fiddling around with it, trying to figure out exactly what I wanted to do. And you can see that I cut the florals and the honeycomb in separate pieces, and just I'm going to layer them one on top of each other. Now I also wanted to use some of Vicky's mixed media products on this layout as well. So I've got some of her, some of the foundations paper, and the foundations paper that Vicky has in her line is amazing. It's super thick. I actually hoarded a little bit because I don't have a ton of it. I really should just order more because it's totally worth it. It's actually not even that expensive. It's pretty reasonably priced for what it is because it is super thick. Now you can see that I took the stencil brush from Vicky's mixed media line, and I just applied it to a piece of packaging. This is, you should use the packaging that comes with the crayons, but this is just a piece of the packaging from the foundations paper. So you can see that I just scribbled some of those crayons onto that packaging, and I just picked it up with the stencil brush, and I'm just rubbing it onto the foundations paper, just kind of combining the yellow and yellowy orangey color together and making kind of just a blob of color basically in the center of my paper. Now I'm going to take one of the stencils from the new collection, and this is just a really pretty floral. I really like it, and I'm taking kind of one of the pinky red crayons now, and I'm going to layer that over top of the yellowy orangey colors. You will only see some of this popping out around the photographs, but that's perfect. That's exactly what I wanted. I just wanted you to be able to see that in the background, just as a little bit of hint of color and pattern layered over top of that yellow. I just love doing this kind of background. It's so much fun, and I love these stencils. They are really well made, really sturdy, and super easy to work with. So you can see that now I'm just moving it over to the side a little bit, and just to create more of that floral pattern with that same kind of pinky red color. So once that's all done, I'm now going to just think about layering something else on top of that. So you'll see that just in the next frame here after a little bit of transition. So I just trying to keep in mind where I'm wanting my photographs to go. So now I'm taking Vicky's silver glaze, and I'm going to run that through this other stencil that is also part of the new collection. It's a really cool text, and I'm a sucker for text stencils. I love them. If you follow me, you know that I've used them lots. And I'm just going to add some of this really subtle texture in the background around my photos. You can't even really see it that much, but it's there and it's noticeable, and it's just, but I love the subtlety of it. So this is one of the papers from the collection. It's amazing. I love this text that's on it. I don't know if this is Vicky's handwriting or what, but it is amazing. I love it. And I love the kind of cream on craft. I like how it looks distressed, and I'm going to use that as a layer across the bottom of my layout. I also took one of the manufacturer strips off one of the other papers, and then a strip off of this paper here that you can see had that navy and kind of those honeycombs and bees on the back. And on the front, it's kind of a teal color with a bit of a grid running through it and super distressed looking. I really love it. And I'm going to just put that on top of the craft paper there, and then I'm going to run that manufacturer strip in between them that has kind of a black and off-white colored design on it that has florals. Now I wanted to pop that photo on the left up onto some foam adhesive. I have put a mat or layer of white cardstock behind these. I was going to use some of that specialty paper from the collection that has the butterflies on it, but this layout really has a bee theme and I didn't want to mix my butterflies and bees for whatever reason, so I'm going to save that butterfly paper for another project. Now you can see how I took one of the die cut pieces and I just took my 2-inch punch and cut that letter B out of the center of it, just because well, my daughter's name starts with B and I'm going to use a bunch of bees on here, and I just thought that was really cool. Now I realize I have that B on there crooked, the letter B. I will straighten that out a little bit later. I'm going to take this little die cut buzzy bee here and I'm going to just put a little bit of double up on the foam adhesive on the back and pop that up, because the bee is already popped up. I need a little more dimension on top of it. So I just layered the foam tape twice in thickness, and that will add lots of dimension to that. So that's where I'm going to put that little manufacturer strip. And this is another little die cut. It says Wildflower, a flower of an uncultured variety or a flower growing freely. I love that. I think it's really cool, and I wanted to use that just as another horizontal piece on those strips at the bottom. Now here's that piece of packaging here that I fussy cut around. I realized that the top of that along the left-hand edge is too square, and I fixed that up later. I'll talk about that at the end of the video here. And I will have to trim up the edge of that paper that you can see sticking out, and I will also fix that, don't worry. So I'm going to now take the floral piece that I also fussy cut, and I'm going to layer that over top of the honeycomb there, and I'm going to pop that up on some foam adhesive as well, just to make that really stand out nicely. I really love the colors in this collection. It kind of gives me a vibe of fall, and you know, once August comes, I feel like most of us are kind of starting to think about maybe scrapbooking some fall themed projects, and I just thought this was perfect for these photographs and what I'm journaling about here today anyways. It's just a really nice little sentiment here in the journaling that I'll show you here in a bit. So I'm just going to use a little bit of my Art Institute art glitter glue there to stick down those little free pieces on that fussy cutting, just to make sure that they don't get hooked on anything and torn off, because they're actually pretty fragile there. And I'm going to take that little bee that I fussy cut as well, and I'm going to layer that on top of that corner piece. So I'm just going to take my scissors here. Every once in a while I have people asking me about these scissors because they've got a really long blade on them. These are actually dollar store scissors. Yeah, I've had them for a long time. They were super cheap. I am going to just try to make sure that I've got this properly put into the corner, all lined up nicely, and just get that down well. And once I'm happy with that, I think I am actually going to start working on the top corner pretty soon here as well. So I'm just going to adhere that little bee onto that floral piece down there with some foam adhesive again. I really love the 3M foam adhesive just because it's super easy to tear. And, you know, if you get a piece that's a little bit too large or whatever, like, it's just super easy to tear up into smaller bits. So I'm just having a look here and thinking about what I want to do next, and I am going to go ahead up into that top left corner and adhere down those pieces of packaging that I have fussy cut from there as well. And another thing too that I'll show you at the end is I didn't like how the black and white diagonal stripe piece of that packaging is just squared off on the end the way I have it cut. I end up doing a diagonal cut on that as well, and I'll show you that here in a bit. So What I'm journaling about here today, just about this girl. She has such a huge heart, and she has the kindest, most gentle soul that you will ever meet. And I just wanted to journal today about how much I appreciate her. And one day when I came home from school, when she was visiting not that long ago, maybe a couple years ago, she had left this little note for me on my craft desk, and I wanted to put that on the journaling here today. And it says, to love and be loved are the most precious gifts in life. And I just thought, you know what, that pretty much says it all. This is kind of how she lives her life. And yeah, she's just a super kind-hearted soul. So that's kind of what this layout is all about today. And I also did a little bit of journaling on the back of the layout too. That's just a little more personal and a little note for her to find someday. So what I also am going to do here, as you can see, is do some embellishing with more of those little floral bits and pieces from the collection. And I do have the cardstock stickers, which is what you see me messing with there on the left. But I love those. They're so gorgeous. I always get those as part of Vicky's collections. And she also has a sticker book, which is chock full of all kinds of wonderful little bits and pieces. So I wanted to bring another one of those little yellow flowers that kind of looks like a sunflower maybe. And I wanted to bring another one of those into the smaller floral clusters as well. A lot of these are popped up on foam adhesive as well. And some of the ones at the top above the journaling card there are die cut pieces from the die cut pack. So I also wanted to just put a few bees here and there on the layout so you can see that I've done that, and that just matches up with that letter B. I am going to take a couple of the phrase stickers from the one of the phrase sticker sheets in the little sticker booklet. One says "you are" and the other says "beautiful," and I just stuck those on the side of the photographs just to kind of coordinate together there. I'm going to stick down that horizontal sentiment ephemera piece at the bottom, and I'm going to do that just with some really small dimensional adhesive here. I think these are scrapbook adhesives, and they're just nice and small. I really like the size of those. I'll just take the release paper off of those and stick that down. And I wanted to put it just where two papers meet there, just to kind of bridge the gap between those two pieces. So I'm going to stick that down there, and just trying to remember what I do next. I'm just going to maybe just show you some of the other details I added. I added some sewing on either side of those fussy cut pieces. And I think maybe in the next frame here, I'm going to show you how I changed up and just kind of streamlined the, oh no, it's going to actually be on the next one. Here I am again showing you that I did some sewing on the layout. Other than that, there's not a whole lot new in this frame here, but in the next frame, I'll show you how I changed things. You can see that journaling that I did on the back. And here we're gonna have a little transition, and I'm just gonna show you here how I angled that top piece off so it's not so square. And then over on the side, I just kind of streamlined that a little bit instead of it being so square at the top. And then I angled off that piece at the bottom. There's going to be some still shots here right away, and I just want to thank you so much for stopping by my channel and watching my video today. I hope you were inspired, and I really love this new collection by Vicky Boutin. It is awesome, and thanks so much, and I hope to see you back another time. Bye-bye.